Good afternoon, judges and guests. I am Michelle Bartushak.
Megan Cooper.
Danielle Dilger.
Ashley Hazley.
Sarah Wheatman.
Andrew Patterson.
And William Wright.
And
We are Team Rooted in Impact.
In November, Team Rooted in Impact learned we were paired with the Louisville Folk School, led by Executive Director and lone employee Dave Howard. When we first heard Louisville Folk School, we thought,
Bluegrass.
Banjos.
Fiddles.
Appalachia? But we now know the Louisville Folk School is so much more. The mission of the Louisville Folk School is to engage the folk music traditions of Kentuckians through education and performance, building on the rich cultural history of the bluegrass state and creating community through the arts. As one of their supporters shared with us, art is essential to our humanity. But in today's modern culture, art is increasingly something the average person consumes, but does not create. The Louisville Folk School is an important part of passing on the skills and enjoyment of tangible, sensorial, participatory art.
Initially, we were tasked to expand the Louisville Folk School to include children's programming, increasing donations, and developing a business plan. Unfortunately, in December, only a few weeks into our relationship and planning process, we found out that Louisville Folk School was about to close its doors for good. We discovered that at the brink of closure, and we knew that it was imperative that we go above and beyond Dave's initial acts to create a plan for long-term sustainability. We needed to work with Dave to gain a deeper understanding of the current state of the school and where there may be opportunities to keep the folk school open for years to come. After Dave gave us the most recent financial statements, current bylaws, board expectations, and marketing materials, we realized that the Louisville Folk School was lacking the fundamental structures needed to succeed. In December at Norton Healthcare Innovation Day, we were introduced to our mentor, J.R. Curtin. We explained to him our situation. His feedback was, if everything is important, then nothing is. This resonated with us and led us to develop a strategic plan to help the Louisville Folk School go on for the next 3 years.
We started our strategic planning process through focused conversations with Dave and a SWOT analysis to get a realistic picture of what was working well at the school today and where there were opportunities. This gave us an organized way to strategize priorities to ensure that the school could effectively execute on their mission.
Our strategic plan is built off of 3 pillars: board and staff development, programming and marketing, financial development, and sustainability. These pillars helped accomplish Dave's initial ask, but also created a long-term vision with attainable goals to help the school stay open and maintain a sustainable business model. In November, we used the knowledge gained from the soldiers at Fort Knox to identify our leadership style. Instead of having one dedicated leader, we decided to thrive by each of us taking up the lead when it matched our respective strengths.
Megan and I partnered on the board and staff development pillar because of our professional backgrounds. I work in risk management and specialize in process improvement.
And I'm a former nonprofit executive director with firsthand understanding of staff and board development in an agency this size.
Long-term, we wanted to help the school to create community impact by cultivating an engaged, forward-thinking group of board, staff, and volunteers by increasing commitment, competence, and satisfaction at all levels of the organization. This is critical to any nonprofit. In order to do this, we set out 3 goals.
To accompany the 3 goals for this pillar, we delivered 19 documents to guide Dave step by step over the next 3 years. We learned the critical value of team communication on our program day at Samtec. So we ensured that the resources provided to Dave would lay that foundation for positive workplace communication as his team grows. Our first goal was to strengthen board leadership through recruitment, training, and development. There's currently a serious lack of engagement with the board of directors. For example, we sent out a survey to the board and 1/3 of them didn't even respond. There have been no board meetings so far in 2023, and there are none on the calendar. The board today is very small with just 6 members. There's serious burnout, and this lack of engagement is significantly impacting morale. To increase board accountability, we developed a board member contract to be signed annually, which outlines the specific commitments that board members are asked to make to the Louisville Folk School. We also, to improve organizational performance and board member satisfaction, we also revised their bylaws which were still in draft form from their last review in 2021. We also developed a board needs assessment to clearly outline the board's strengths and opportunities while also driving recruitment goals.
Our second goal was to expand and promote a formal structure for the school's workforce with defined responsibilities and a path for future expansion. We provided Dave with his first ever job description, a job description for his newly hired program associate, as well as future fundraising and administrative staff roles. We also developed employee and teacher handbooks and codes of conduct, none of which previously existed. The executive director has been a one-man show since the school's inception. He does everything from managing the board, grant writing, finding new ways to engage in the community, you name it, he has sole responsibility. Having these simple documents in place will allow him to focus his efforts on more value-added activities.
Because Dave is the lone employee, he is constantly putting out fires before moving on to the next, with no real time to dedicate towards sustainable strategic prioritization or even just rethinking how things have always been done. Our third and final goal was to institute a plan for ongoing strategic planning, as well as the development and expansion of board, staff, and volunteers. We handed Dave an individualized contact list of 28 board member recruitment sources. We gave him a ready-to-go template for an annual stakeholder survey. And we also provided him an outline of recommended volunteer committees to establish that will aid in the execution of the Louisville Folk School's mission. Ashley?
Sarah and I partnered on the second pillar, which is on programming and marketing. We did this because of our professional backgrounds, mine being in community education, as well as private consulting for curriculum development surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And I'm an elementary school teacher who works in curriculum design and learning innovation and have previously served on education-based nonprofits to help with their marketing and media strategies.
As we considered what our pillar could do, we knew that we wanted to support a long-term vision of Louisville Folk School, where the Louisville Folk School would be the premier location in the state and maybe even in our region to engage and experience the diverse folk traditions that make up our state. As we think about that, we wanted to make sure that this programming was sustainable. And so we made sure that it incorporated Kentucky State education standards for visual and performing arts at the intermediate and the middle school level. Even though there's extremely low capacity from Louisville Folk School, having 1 and now 2 staff members, there's a lot of excitement from both their staff and their board to see this programming through.
Transitioning from only having adult programming to children's programming posed a lot of challenges. First, we needed to identify an accessible location that would work for all children's needs, then determine camp weeks and build out curriculum, some of which needed to align with grant funding, and then determine a daily schedule that allowed for age-appropriate expectations and a consistent routine for children to experience. In alignment with our day at Norton Healthcare Innovation, we also wanted to provide engaging learning opportunities for students. For example, during World Music Explorers Week, students will have the opportunity to read through the story of Ada's violin. This is the true story of a girl who grew up in a landfill. Her teacher taught her how to take the trash from the landfill and make instruments from it. Ada formed the first ever recycled orchestra, and they spread their message of hope and innovation as they play across the world. Students will then have the opportunity to take their own recycled materials and create their own instruments.
To continue the impact from the summer programming, we wanted to expand upon the West African drum adult group classes that Louisville Folk School already offers. In order to do that, we created a curriculum outline for Louisville Folk School to follow, but not only partnered them with other people from West African descent to actually help teach these materials, but also steeps learners in literature and arts and crafts and STEM-based activities that would help them understand West African tradition. All of this was incredibly steeped in the learning that we had at University of Louisville in our day led by Mr. Al Cornish. And of course, it is April 12th and we're talking about fall programming. So we have created an ongoing consulting agreement with Louisville Folk School to see their fall programming through,
Lastly, we needed to market the camp so that we could get children enrolled. This led to looking at their overall marketing and brand strategy. We developed a PR list, marketing materials, templates, such as an example press release statement, and we created a streamlined branding guide so that the folk school can become a recognized stakeholder in the community. We also provided market research on comparable camp programs in the area and a marketing and social media plan, part of which we even took part of in ourselves. The summer school will be held at the Peterson Juvenile House located off Frankfurt Avenue. This is a very family-friendly
kid-friendly neighborhood. So we canvassed the neighborhood, going door to door, letting families know that summer camp opportunities were just steps away. We also dropped off marketing materials at local storefronts, such as the local children's bookstore and coffee shop, to pass out materials and make everyone in the area aware of the folk school.
As a banker, I was really excited to work with the folk school on its financial development and sustainability. It was clear as a one-man management team that the folk school really needed a fresh injection of ideas. We decided that not only could we provide valuable knowledge and experience, but also we had the opportunity to consult with many other institutions, specifically a very large, growing, music-focused nonprofit. We came up with ways to help Dave build a much stronger financial foundation for the school. Came up with 3 goals, financial-based goals that we think were achievable, and built a strategy to help Dave and the school achieve these goals. Our first goal is to increase programming revenue by 40% over the next 3 years. We think that, as my teammates just did a great job of explaining, that the new program initiatives will take care of this goal very easily for the school. Our second goal is to increase individual contributions and donations from 16,000 to 60,000 over the next 3-year time frame. We help the school make the donation portal a lot more visible. We help make asking for individual donations much more easy and consistent for Dave and the rest of the staff. Develop a corporate outreach strategy and gave the school the names and contact information of 20 organizations whose mission, culture, and value align with this folk school. We believe that these, as well as our new board Give or Get initiative, will help make the financial goals much more achievable.
Again, I'm William Wright, and due to my experience with project budget management, I assist Andrew with the financial sustainability pillar. We all know that funding is an extremely important factor for nonprofits to stay afloat. In fact, fund sourcing is often referred to as the Hunger Games for nonprofits. The Louisville Folk School was no exception to this. So much so that they were faced with permanently closing the doors of the school until a generous donation was received in December to allow them to stay open. We were determined to create a plan to prevent this scenario from arising again. In addition to the 2 goals outlined by Andrew, a stretch goal was established to increase grant funds by 100% over the next 3 years. To do this, we identified grants that are specifically geared towards the arts and programming for children. Of the appendices provided with the strategic plan was one that listed the details of each grant identified. To help the Louisville Folk School keep track of the dates associated with these grants, an interactive calendar was created that provides reminders of application deadlines, as well as dates associated with facilitating the summer camps and day-to-day operations. Since the Louisville Folk School does not have someone specifically dedicated to grant writing, we encourage them to use innovative tools available in artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, to assist with grant writing. The preliminary results have been very promising. It was our mission to provide the resources so that the mission of the Louisville Folk School could carry on for years to come.
We've accomplished a lot in the last 6 months. Just 3.5 months ago, the school was on the brink of closure. Last month, the school was able to hire their very first W-2 employee outside of the executive director, and the summer camp enrollment went live. As of this month, we've delivered a strategic plan with 19 supporting documents to aid in board and staff development. We've created a brand kit, a financial forecast, and a plan for ongoing consulting to ensure that the school can continue to build on the rich cultural history of the Bluegrass State. Our team has added an estimated almost $80,000 in value through the time and products we delivered. In addition, this infrastructure that we help build will generate an estimated $100,000 in additional revenue over the next 2 years. Because of the work that we have done, we not only help the folk school allow to be able to stay open, but we'll be able to.
All right, if Team Hope can come on up. 5 minutes for questions.
Okay, you all presented a lot of amazing materials. We have this in front of us.
I feel like as a sole staff member, I want to ask, what is your plan? Like, was he receptive to this information? How confident do you feel like this person will use the information that you've given? Because you mentioned like your whole job as the one employee is putting out fires. And so how receptive do you think, continuing to use this information is? And other than staff, what's the plan to help him execute these things?
Absolutely. When we spoke with Dave, we said, we understand that your initial ask was to help build this marketing plan, help package these things together, look at your business plan. We thought, what business plan? But when we came to him and said, here's what we see. We see that you have a great weakness in your foundation of this organization. Would you be receptive to us building a full strategic plan as long as we are able to hand it to you on a silver platter with all of those documents that are provided in that appendix so that you can carry this out without having to develop those items? And he said, yes, if you can hand me all of those things, then I can carry this on. So that was our agreement with him and our discussion with him. Absolutely, he's very receptive every step of the way. When we've had conversations with him, he is cheering us on. He is our greatest cheerleader, and he's thrilled with what we've done so far.
In addition, that's why it was so important for us to establish at least programmatically pro bono consulting moving forward. Just because we do know that some of it could be completely new to things that he's done before, and wanting to have that support from those that have that expertise.
I guess my question is, can you talk about what you did to get greater engagement from the board?
That's a really great question. So when I reached out to Dave very recently and said, tell me when your board is meeting, how can we sit down and have this conversation with them so that we can talk to them directly? He said, we have nothing on the calendar. So that's actually where that point came from in our presentation, is because we learned that they have nothing on the calendar. So that is an ongoing project of ours. I have actually spoken with some of the board members individually back in December, so they are aware. They have obviously been engaged through survey participation or lack thereof. And what we've done to make it a little bit easier to provide that information, because again, coming from my experience, I know that an executive director can go to their board of directors and say, here are the things that we should do. It hits a whole lot differently when you have a third party coming in from a place of authority and understanding and knowledge saying, this is what we see needs to happen. So we do want to be that intermediary between the two of them. So we've developed an executive summary that can be easily provided via Dave, but then we can have that conversation with the board of directors. We're waiting for that meeting date.
So who's going to be continuing to work with the organization after the engagement?
We are.
All of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
Looks like you guys did a tremendous amount of work, and I applaud you for keeping the nonprofit moving in advance in the right direction. In terms of the actual execution of camps, what does that look like on the ground? One of the things I was kind of listening for was the development of a volunteer network that can provide some of the necessary manpower, if you will, to actually run the camps. What does that look like in June for actually executing, and especially with children involved? Talk about that.
Yeah, I can touch on that. So each camp has 2 instructors with it, and they will be paid. We worked out with the grant funding to have a stipend for those camp directors. There's also currently a recruitment effort for like junior volunteers to get high school students. So they've reached out to like people in National Honor Society and Beta clubs who need service hours over the summer to try to get them to help. But that was an important part too, was making sure that the camp directors had a good experience, and why we wanted to make sure there was like rich curriculum and timeframes and guidelines. Just because the transition from only serving adults to kids, for example, one of the things that he told me, he was like, yeah, I was thinking for a break we could play dodgeball, and my teacher heart was like, what? All these beautiful instruments we just got with grant funding didn't get destroyed by dodgeball. But there's a lot of effort putting on there, and they've been provided templates and guidelines, and we're staying on to help with that coaching. But every camp has instructors already, and it's filling up. However, we do still have a few spots available. If any of you have children and would like to enroll them, it's going to be a great time.
I appreciate your answer.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.